Hi, this is Jaga. This is for the new coding channel. I have about 35 years of experience in programming, databases. I started with the basic language, C, Fortran, Java, PHP, Perl, Python, and I learned a lot in web design. So I want to share the knowledge in this channel. So we'll start with the basics. I'll talk about the coding, algorithms, flowcharts, and I'll explain in detail all the programs. So the channel is Code Program Basics. Once a project is given, we want to write a program. The first step is you have to write the algorithm. Algorithm means sequence of steps, what you want to do. Next is the draw flowchart. Flowchart is the process flow based on the algorithms you wrote. And finally, write the code. The code here means it can be any language, like Basic, COBOL, Fortran, C, variations of C, C++, C Pound, Visual C++, which has visual buttons with a very good user interface, Java, Perl, Python, PHP. And I'll talk about databases also later, like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL. The basic database is SQL, and the basic statements, select, insert, update, delete for all the languages. Syntax may be a little different. Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL. So this covers the basics of what's happening in the world with most of the systems, most of the programs written in a combination of C and Java and other scripting languages. This part is called scripting languages, where you can go to the operating system level and code programs. Okay, let's move on to the next one, algorithms. Algorithms is nothing but sequence of steps. It's like a real life event. You want to do something, your brain organizes sequence of steps. But here we want to write it out so that we can change, alter, discuss with two other people, make changes before you go to the flowchart. So for example, simple math calculation. A program is given where find average of 5 numbers. This is very basic. So I wrote all the steps required. First you have to we want to find the average of 5 numbers. So any program, you get the input and then you process and then the output. So input 5 numbers, you have to assign the data types, whether it's integer or floating point or exponential. It changes with every program. You have to define the output variable where you want to do the calculation and store the result. Calculate the average using a formula or a function available in the program. Then store in the output variable and display the output. And here you have to check for any errors. And most language we call it exceptions. Exceptions always happen when a wrong data type is used, wrong formula is used. So the output will not be displayed. So you have to write a code for error handling in every program, multiple programs, multiple structures. That's the first example for the algorithm. For example, there's a second program where you have to combine two strings or characters. For example, the first string can be how, second string can be are you, and the output you want is how are you, the final result. Step 1, see all these 6 steps. Input the 2 strings in the character variable, which is similar in all the languages. The names may be different. And how you store it is very important to calculate. You don't want to use too much of the storage. So always you want to reduce storage and use the correct variable based on what is required. And you have to assign the data types. It can be integer, floating point, string. In our case, it will be a string variable. And you need actually 2 variables because 2 input and 1 final output variable. So third step is define output variable. Step 4, find the function if there is any available to combine the 2 strings. Now the language is very advanced, so there are functions available. You just have to call the function here, it will do the calculations. I will explain in detail about what a function is. A function is actually a program already written, and every language will have a library. Like we have a library of books, we need something, we go to a book and check the index and pick up the content. Likewise, functions are already written. So in a large project, you might be using like 50 functions, one calling the other, and there are syntax for each of them. I'll explain in detail later, and you have to find what function you need here to combine two strings. For example, I think in C language it's strcat, string concatenation. That's one of the library functions. Store it in the output variable, display the output variable, check for errors. So that covers the algorithms part of the first part, So next is draw flowchart. Let's come here. Flowchart is nothing but you wrote all the steps, but now you want to visualize in a process flow, so you can discuss with other people and make changes. This is like writing in pencil, The next step is you can put more input into it after discussing with people. It will be easy to explain visually, any project. So for example, the first project we had the average of 5 numbers. You have to input, here you are defining the actual names of the variables, A, B, C, D, E, what you're going to use. You can use any name, N1, N2, N3. And second step is you have to define the data types, integer A, B, C, D, E. This is the output variable. I call it AVG, average. And this is called the data type, where the value is stored. And you always want to define so that you want to minimize the storage. And next step is calculating the average equal to, you have to